Well, it's nothing new. There's a nice, concise, very plain term for this, and it's called the Pharmacratic Inquisition. The Pharmacratic Inquisition has been plaguing mankind for a long time. This is what the witch hunts in Europe were about. Why do you think they were hunting down people that were, off on their own practicing herbcraft? That person practices herbcraft. Oh, we better take all their property and, burn them at the stake. So I mean, it's not a new concept. It's been happening all over the place. When the Spaniards came over into Central America, and they started the Inquisition there, and they started wiping out all of the indigenous tribes, they had in their questions, in the questions that they asked the natives, have you taken of the magic mushroom? And if they said yes, lop off their heads. They're gone.
And the magic mushrooms, of course, are readily available out there in nature.
Sure.
Are they not?
Yes, there's of the psilocybin-containing mushrooms, there's over 117 different ones out there right now.
I'll tell you one thing, though, with mushrooms, and we'll get back to this. There's a lot of poisonous things out there. The average person probably wouldn't even know what to pick.
That's right, and I would never, ever advise anybody to go pick a mushroom and eat it in the wild unless you absolutely know what you're doing. Maybe we should get that out of the way right now.
Absolutely, because there's probably a lot of people that are going mushroom hunting tomorrow.
Right. Do not go out and go mushroom hunting unless you become a mycologist or you know a good mycologist or you're really, really into it. Then you really can find out, what's going on. And mushrooms are a wonderful thing. There's hundreds of edible varieties that are just incredibly delicious. So it's well worth the study.
James, let me throw out some mind-altering things. We'll call them drugs right now, and because I want people to get an understanding here that we're not doing a show on drugs and the benefits of drugs. If I say the words like heroin, cocaine, methamphetamine, crystal meth to you, what would you say to that? Would you say this is clearly not, I don't believe what you're endorsing here?
Well, part of the problem, and the big disinformation propaganda, deals with lumping all drugs together. On the one hand, they're telling us, don't do drugs, but on the other hand, you're watching TV and it says, do you feel nervous going out in public? Well, then take this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Or, do you have a hard time getting an erection? Take this. And now the new one that just came out this year, which is so amazing, is, do you need a bigger penis? Take this. So our media is so drug propaganda oriented. It's just absolutely amazing, and it's just a total sham.
Okay, but if you could answer the question,
right.
You're dealing with heroin, cocaine, these substances that have been addictive, that can kill. Are you talking about that too?
Absolutely not. Drugs are like anything else. You can find something that's dangerous almost in anything. And, it's like riding a bicycle. If you ride your bicycle off a cliff, then that's dangerous. But just riding a bicycle down the road, no, that's not dangerous. So
all right.
There's dangerous aspects to everything, and drugs are included. The problem with drugs is that they've received such a massive propaganda campaign against them that this is one reason why it's hard to even talk about it, because the minute you mention drugs, people think that you're talking about, heroin. Oh, no, this guy's talking about heroin. No.
Well, that's true. You're right. You're right about that.
And that's part of the propaganda campaign. See, when they can lump it all together, then they can get you to forget all about all the good drugs, There can't be any good drugs. All drugs are bad. Let's take this word and make it a taboo thing.
All right, let's talk then about really what are some very special plants that are on this planet that have done some absolutely incredible things to people's abilities to literally travel with their minds and do some other things. How long have they been known to human beings?
Well, they've been known since way before we can even, know that they knew. What we have is a written record that goes back, 6,000 years, 7,000 years. We have cave paintings that go out, considerably further than that. And we have cave paintings dating clear back 15,000 years of shaman, shown holding mushrooms and having mushrooms coming out of them and mushroom heads, and different types of things like that. So we know that mankind revered the mushrooms quite heavily. And
why does it appear that it's the mushroom that seems to be the predominant mood-altering or mind-altering drug?
Well, when you really get into it, you start to recognize that the mushrooms are one of the main things that caused people for some reason to think in terms of spirituality. There's a lot of different plants that are used all over the world, depending on where you're at. A lot of times they're regional. In other words, that not everywhere has mushrooms growing, so not every old culture would use mushrooms. But the fact is that the mushrooms have been the ones that have made the major leaps in culture and civilization.
Well, and it is true that almost every major pharmaceutical prescription has at one time probably have been based from a plant, a tree bark, something natural, where they got literally the idea how to create the synthetic version of it. Aspirin being one of them.
Right, and they have a big monetary reason for doing that. It's a financial reason, because if they can create a synthetic compound, they can patent it, and they can have proprietary compounds. And what they do is, once they have a proprietary compound, they can release it and sell it for astronomical amounts of money. Whereas if you find something that's in nature, that's completely natural, that you could go pick, then you can't get a proprietary patent on that chemical. So this whole idea in medicine leads to some very bad things. It leads to people that are trying to find a synthetic medicine rather than look for something that's natural.
What kind of spiritual experiences do people undergo when they take, let's say, a magic mushroom?
Well, one of the main things is that they have the out-of-body experience. They have a glimpse of within. Time seems to stand still or speed up or just disappear completely. There's one of the main things that is really valuable about it is that it gives you sort of a life review. When you take the mushrooms, you start to see within, and you start to really understand and look at yourself, and you start to recognize how you are to the world and what you are as far as what type of a person you are, the different things that have happened in your life, the relationships that you have, different things like this. And this is why they wanted to use it for therapy. In fact, they did use them for therapy when they were first discovered, until they were made outlawed, of course.
Why can't you do the same thing without the mushroom? Why can't the body do that?
Well, the body can, but one has to know how to trigger those organs. The pineal gland, which is the very central gland that's shaped like a pine cone in the middle of the brain.
That's where your melatonin comes out of, isn't it?
Right, and melatonin is one of the precursors to dimethyltryptamine.
Yeah, that's true. Absolutely. Stick with me. My guest is James Arthur. I'm going to find out a little bit more about what these altered consciousness mushrooms do to you on Coast to Coast AM. James, even beyond altering consciousness, would this make someone's IQ go up or make them a little more intelligent? Would that happen?
Well, I think it depends on what you call intelligent or how you quantify your intelligence. If you're talking about asking questions and giving the right answers on a test, I would say that if you don't know the answer, a psychedelic is not going to give you the answer.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
It's not going to make any difference. But if it comes to analytical thinking and complex problem solving, I would say that certainly. And if you go up to Silicon Valley and you talk to some of the people up there that have been developing these computers and all these programs and all this stuff, these supposedly most intelligent people on the planet, you'll find that many of them are quite familiar with the psychedelics.